In chapter 4 of your book, The Truth About Food, what did you mean by the truth?
The truth, I think, has two components. We can argue that some truth is truly incontrovertible. If that's not the case, I think we're in big trouble, if everything is up for debate. So again, we talk about throwing an apple in the air and knowing it's going to fall back down. I don't think that's open to debate. You could argue that if you change the parameters, then the outcomes will change. Yes, if you remove gravity from the system, that sort of thing. But down here on Earth, throw an apple in the air, it will fall back down. And there are fundamental truths about lifestyle and about diet that deserve to be treated as such. And the danger of failing to respect the fundamental truths. So we know, for instance, that there is a general theme of healthy eating that pertains to everybody and isn't negotiable. We need to avoid ultra-processed food as much as possible. We need to eat real whole food as much as possible, and we need to eat mostly plants. Every optimal diet embraces these principles. Every study showing the best outcomes embraces this. At some point, the collective weight of evidence becomes an incontrovertible truth. But I think there's another element of the truth, and that is acknowledging the limitations of what we know for sure. And so I talk about the truth in terms of what we know so reliably we should stop asking about it. Because asking questions when we already have the answers is a path that potentially propagates endless pseudo-confusion. I remember a few years ago I did an interview for the New York Times. So is eating fruit still good for us? And this was because at the time we had been through actually 2 cycles of science and media uptake of science that had generated confusion about that. The first of them was fixation on the glycemic index, and many fruits have a relatively high glycemic index. And the second of them was fixation on fructose, which really was a byproduct of worries about high fructose corn syrup, an extracted product used in processed food, but fruit contains fructose. That's fruit sugar. And the worry at the level of the general public spilled over, so everybody was thinking, okay, we shouldn't eat fruit anymore, and bloggers were telling the world you have to stop eating fruit. So there I was doing an interview for the New York Times, is it still okay to eat fruit? What hope is there of making meaningful progress in the realm of what we don't already know if we're going to never stop questioning the answers we already have most reliably? Of course it's okay to eat whole fruit. Routine consumption of whole fruit is associated with less obesity, less diabetes, better health overall, less chronic disease. All of the reasons you would worry about glycemic index or fructose, they're things that get better, not worse, when you eat whole fruit. Whole fruit is clearly not a problem. We shouldn't be asking the question, but we were. So a critical aspect of the truth is to recognize what is established. We could, for example, raise the same questions about exercise that we raise about diet. So, for example, the fundamentals of a health-promoting dietary pattern, perfectly clear, perfectly well established. But you can then try to isolate a food. Okay, is this particular leaf of iceberg lettuce making a difference? You conclude the answer is no, we can't tell, and then that captures headlines. Health benefits of lettuce, leafy greens, uncertain. But that would be like studying marathon runners and asking the question, is the 9,822nd step in their run independently exerting a health effect? And there would be absolutely no way to ascertain that there's an independent health effect, so therefore we conclude what? Running isn't good for people, walking isn't good for people. We don't do that to exercise. We do exactly that to diet. So we need to acknowledge what we know. We need to stop wasting time and resources questioning the reliable answers we already have. And then we can allow for the gaps in the truth, the details that we don't know reliably, and devote our efforts there. The other thing that's implied by the truth is that we can acknowledge the common ground and the common cause, the vast expanse of what we know most reliably that should be common knowledge to all experts and via experts to the general public too, and still allow for gaps within that expanse where we have different impressions and different conclusions and are pursuing different answers. That's okay. You can agree about almost everything and agree to disagree about some details. But if you do it that way, you're still able to defend the vast expanse of shared truth. If instead you only focus on the small areas of disagreement, you can wind up looking like there is no common ground. And that's a vast deception. It's an enemy to truth. And frankly, it's an enemy to the human condition because we fail to leverage what we know to add years to lives and life to years.